Now, you know that I've known the president for a long time and wrote a book on him, The United States of Trump, a history book. Um, I know that he asked you advice far beyond what a spokesperson usually is asked. So he wanted to know your opinion. Am I correct?
Yes, and I think a lot of that was because I was very candid in my conversations with the president. If I disagreed with something, I told him. If I agreed with something, I told him. If I thought we could say things in a different way, I would say that as well. And so, but I did that in a closed door setting. And once the president made a decision, my job was to communicate the president's decision. I didn't come with my own agenda, and I think he knew that. And that was one of the reasons that he brought me into the room and trusted me to weigh in on a number of topics.
So you inherited your candor from your father, Governor Mike Huckabee. um, how did you handle the president's moods? He's a moody guy. Everybody knows that. Sometimes he's ebullient, and sometimes he's dour. How did you handle that?
I had a good relationship with the president, and we had certainly some back and forth, but I actually really enjoyed being around him. I think he has just a larger than life personality. And on the days where, I knew he wasn't in the mood to fight, then maybe that wasn't when I brought him a laundry list of things that I needed to go over and get answers on. And so I think having that kind of good back and forth allowed me to know when I should push and when I shouldn't, and when to ask for certain things and when to wait.
All right. Now, I know your job pretty well. I know Bill Shine, who's a communications guy in there. And I know the hardest part of your job, and you do state this in your book, was cleaning up after Donald Trump said stuff that the press went crazy about. That was the hardest job. I want to give the audience an example of how the president does speak from yesterday when he talked about a CNN reporter getting roughed up by police. Go.
They grabbed him, they grabbed him, they grabbed him. They were grabbing him left and right. Sometimes they grab one guy. I'm a reporter. Get out of here. They threw him aside like he was a little bag of popcorn. But I mean, honestly, when you watch the crap that we've all had to take so long, when you see that, it's actually, you don't want to do that, but when you see it, it's actually a beautiful sight. It's a beautiful sight.
All right. So then the press goes wild. It's a beautiful sight that a reporter got roughed up. And then you, not you now, I mean, that falls to Kayleigh McEnany now, but you, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, had to deal with that, with the hostile press. Was that the toughest part of your job, when the president would go off like that?
No, honestly, it really wasn't. Like you said, you've known Donald Trump for a long time. He's not different now than he was when he ran and when I worked on his campaign. So I knew what I was signing up for. I know that if the president gets hit, he's going to hit back, usually 10 times harder. I know that sometimes he likes to tweet things that everybody doesn't love. And so that was going to be part of the challenge. I think the hardest thing for me was how personal some of the reporters got, and how I think just hypocritical they got. Here I was, the third woman, the very first mom to ever hold that job, the first White House press secretary ever to need Secret Service. So those moments were far more difficult than working for the president and responding to a few tweets or maybe some comments at a rally. I knew that part of the job was going to be there when I took it, but I also knew that the president was fighting to try to make our country better. And whether you like his style or not, it's hard to argue with the substance of what he was doing and what he accomplished. And so I was always able to go back to that. What made it more difficult was how outrageous the press and the liberal mob got day after day, and how they continued to get worse and were so willing to come after not just the president, but everybody around him. And nothing was off limits. Nothing was off the table for them to attack us on.
Why do you think he's hated so much?
I think there are probably a lot of reasons. I think one of them is that he doesn't need them. He goes around them. And these are people that are very self-important. They're very proud of the way they turned out. And the president has gone around them and gone directly to the American people. He calls them out on the daily basis, and it drives them crazy. They said he would never win, and they thought that there was no way he could beat an institution like theirs after the 2016 campaign. And not only did he do it then, but he's been doing it pretty much every day since, and they just keep getting madder and madder as a result.
I think Amy Coney Barrett is going to be the nominee for the Supreme Court. How bloody do you think this is going to be? You went through the Kavanaugh hearings. You saw how awful that was. Ms. Barrett, is she in line for that kind of treatment?
I think she is. I think she's demonstrated an ability to fight back, certainly in her 2017 hearings up against Senator Feinstein and others who attacked her for her religious beliefs. I think that the Democrats are disgraceful in the way that they handled the Kavanaugh hearings. I fully anticipate that we will see part 2 of that movie in the hearing for whoever the president chooses. And I wish I could say that they had learned their lesson, but I don't think that's the case. Let's not forget the outrageous accusations that they put up against Judge Brett Kavanaugh, somebody who had been through multiple background checks, an upstanding citizen in front of his wife, his daughters. They put them through hell, and they didn't care. That to me is one of the things that is so mind-blowing. They have no problem absolutely destroying people's lives without regard to them or their family. I think we can expect them to try to do that again, and I think it will backfire in the same way it did with Kavanaugh, re-energize the Republican base, and help the president in November.
All right. The book is Speaking for Myself, Faith, Freedom, and the Fight of Our Lives Inside the Trump White House, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And thanks for coming on, Sarah. Anytime you got something on your mind, we'd love to have you. The book is already a big bestseller. I recommend it to the Bill O'Reilly audience. And I want you to have a nice fall out down there in Arkansas. Best to your dad. And we'll talk soon, I hope.
You bet. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.